So let's move on to our next topic. Now let's go over using the plumb line. Everything we're doing, family, is according to the plumb line. Did Moses write this down? Because Moses was getting everything from who? The Most High. So if Moses didn't write it down, okay, when Yahushua came, did Yahushua say it? Because Yahushua told them, Yashiyah, what he said?
So if you believe in me, believe also in Moses.
If you would have had believed Moses, you would believe me. So if Moses didn't write it, or SELAH, Yah didn't write it, because Yah wrote it with his finger. He gave it to Moses. So if Yah didn't write it with his finger, and when his son came, his son didn't say it, the next part, can we find righteous elders practicing it? So if we can't find where Yah wrote it, Yahushua said it, and we can't find righteous elders practicing it, where did you get it from? Where did you get it from? That's how we run things past the plumb line. So let's go over the master timepiece. Can someone read that for me? This is right off Etymology Online, and this is the etymology of the word month. Anybody can read it. You got the mic out?
1/12 part of a year.
What part?
1/12 part of a year.
Read on.
One of the 12 parts into which the calendar is arbitrarily divided.
Not 13. Not 13, right? Read on.
Old English.
No, you can skip that.
Yeah, I'm skipping down.
Yeah, which is related to.
Which is related to Menon, moon. Originally, the month was the interval between one new moon and the next. It cognates mean only month in the Roman languages, but in Germanic, they generally continue to do double duty. The development of the calendrical meaning for words from this root in Greek and Latin, in Greek, men and Latin menis, was accompanied by the creation of new words for moon, selene, luna, the phase, a month of Sundays, a very long time, is from 1832, roughly 7.5 months, but never used literally.
So the takeaway here, family, we're trying to find which great luminary is the master timepiece, because we got some people saying it's the sun, and then we got some people saying it's the moon. So we're trying to run down with research and scrolls, Torah, which one of those great luminaries is the master timepiece. And this is saying the month is called by the moon. So if you're not getting your feast, if you're not getting your Pesach, if you're not getting your New Year celebration by the moon, you're not in line with Abba Yah. Let's go to the next one. Calendar.
The year as divided systematically into days and months, as the table showing divisions of the year. From the old French calendar, list, register, from Latin calendarium, account book, from calendae, the calids, the first day of the Roman month when debts fell due and accounts were reckoned.
When is your rent due?
The first of the month.
When's your car note due? What land are we in?
Babylon, Rome.
Rome is running Babylon. That's why we got to pay our bills on the first of the month, or it's late. Or they give you what, the 5th? We got to pay by the 5th. Or you got to get an extra.
The 5th, well, that's it.
So we're in Babylon, but Rome is running Babylon. That's what that's bringing out. Read on this form.
This is from Kaler, to announce solemnly, to call out, as the priest did in proclaiming the new moon that marked the calends, from Pyrut, Kele, to shout. In Rome, new moons were not calculated.
New moons was what?
Not calculated.
Were not what?
Not calculated.
Read on.
Mathematically, but rather observed by the priests from the capital.
Let's take just a wild guess where they got that from.
Israelites.
We all got us captive. Our way of life made sense. Y'all in there having 8-day weeks, got your chickens in the house with you. when you had us captive, Jacob, we was telling you, nah, this ain't the way you do things. And y'all finally said, yeah, that makes sense. Oh yeah, you're planting when it get warm. Yeah, you can't plant in the snow, idiot. The ground is hard. Yo, that's why I can't break the ground open. Yeah, it's cold right now. So when they came in contact with the children of Yah, the Israelites, we told them how you follow Yah's time. Read on. In Rome, where you was at?
I'm trying to see, declared in Rome, the moons were, I just thought that in Rome, new moons were not calculated mathematically, but rather observed by the priests from the capital. When they saw it, they would declare the number of days till the nuns, 5 or 7, depending on the month. The word was taken by the early church for its register, list of saints and their feast days, meaning list of documents arranged chronologically.
All we needed is the word month comes from moon, and the word calendar comes from kalar, to call out. So if you're not calling out the new moon and blowing up the shofar, like the Most High said, your whole way of life is going to be off. If you're depending on January 1st to start your new year, and you're getting your Shabbats, oh, it's January 1st, and me and I went over, we're going to see it. January 1st is Friday, and you're having Shabbat on January 2nd.
Yeah, it literally.
It don't make
no
sense
at all.
It don't make sense. Ain't no sense of getting upset about it. You're more Raven teaching. He got the greatest congregation. He done brought all kind of celebrities into. It don't make sense. If you think every Saturday is the Most High Shabbat, you are in error. There's no way you're going to tell me Friday is the set first and Saturday second and it's the Holy Shabbat. That's 2 days. Ain't no sense of getting upset about it. We are the descendants of the slaves. Let's do the research. Let's do the scholarship. Let's come together as righteous sons and let's have a bill.
Yep, Salakia. I can see your comments, Miss Barb. I can see it in the Zoom.
Yeah, please share. I can't see him, sis.
I will just wait for him to finish speaking. But she says, how do you know when the first day of the month? She says, how do you know when the first day of the new year is?
The first day of the new year will be the first crescent after we have 12 moons, and that new crescent reappears. We know it's the new year because there's only 12 moons for us. That's why we track the moon. Once we know we done had 12 moons, that when that new crescent comes back in, it's Rosh Hashanah. It's the head of the year. And according to the text, we're going to get into it. It has to be when it has to be when life is returning to the earth. And we just bear witness. We got pictures. We had dandelions popping up in our yard at the end of February.
Yeah, then the one that you showed with the bees still out there pollinating, that was still during time too. So I said that shows that quote unquote spring quote unquote was already coming in, because no way flowers gonna be coming up if it's winter.
A bee definitely knows when to pollinate.
Exactly. And
so that bee was, I got the video to share with anybody. The bee was pollinating that flower, that's sunflower, in late February, and we were still having frost. Now, the takeaway, and I got a bad habit, I'm from up north, so you won't just, I'll be listening to the playbacks, so I got to stop cutting people off. But the takeaway from that, in late February, we had dandelions coming up in our yard. A week later, I got a video of a bee pollinating, and that was late February. And this is way over here in the United States. When you Google the weather back home in Zion, they was already in the 70s. They were already in the 70s.
That's pretty much what I was going to say. And for Miss Barb too, if you just randomly just thrown on an island somewhere, you would kind of have to just go through what season it is, what time of the year it was. But, that's generally, like he said, after the 12th moon, the next one will be New Year. But if something happened and you were thrown off somehow, then you would go based off, you have to start looking at your surroundings.
Right. Pay attention to nature, because even I forgot which book, but even the animals know to mate at a certain time of the year. Even the animals mate during a certain, like dogs in heat and stuff. They're not in heat year round. It's a certain season they're in heat. Because an animal don't want to carry her young in the cold, it's no food. So if you see an animal in the heat and animals, creating, it should be a time of warmness. So that's how we vet if we're lost. Just pay attention to your environment. Pay attention to what's going on. That's a great question, sis. Great question. The master timepiece. Now let's get some script. Let's get some Tanakh. Let's go to Exodus 12 and 2. Let's get some script. Exodus 12 and 2. Y'all warm? Y'all all right?
I'm good.
Read.
This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you.
This month shall be the beginning of the month for you. It should be the first month of the year. It didn't say this sun. It didn't say this solar. This month. We just went over history. That month is related to what? Moon. So he's saying this moon should be your beginning of months. It's the first moon of the year. Now we can go over the history and get what part of the year it was, because like we just went over, we know that it was life coming back. Life was coming back to the earth. So that's another clue. When you see the grass starting to grow again, you start to see the flowers, that means life is returning, the year is changing.
I guess she got like a comment or objection, I don't know. It says, just looking at North Carolina, the East Coast may see things becoming new several weeks before the western part of the state, maybe by more than 1 month.
Again, everything we do, our center point is what? Zion. So we don't worry, we don't follow captivity. We do the best we can in captivity, but that's why Yah gave us the great 2 luminaries. It's the same, the moon we see, that new crescent we see, they see in Antarctica. Because you have to show me somewhere where he gave another part of the world a different moon. That sun we see in California, they see it in Russia. Those 2 great lights are seen over the world. So when we bring in a new moon, they seen that if they had perfect weather, they would see the same crescent the same day in any part of the world. This whole thing about it shows up in a different part of the world, different times, we're going to get to that. That's Greek philosophy. The Greeks came up, all this peridian and equators and all that, we're going to get to it, sis. That's adulterations by the Greeks. When we see the new crescent, they see it in Jerusalem and they see it in Russia, but not that we care about Russia.
And I think too, just to make sure her stuff is clear, I think she's saying you can see crops growing possibly here earlier in the east part of the state, but not the west and stuff like that.
Right, because they have a warmer climate, but again, our center point is always not the crops. Your center point is always going to be the moon. The crops and the animals are just secondaries. Your master timepiece, and what we're about to go over, is the Most High's moon. So your first order of business, you want to count the moons. How many new moons you brought in? That's why we're going over this segment right here, the master timepiece. So crops, because another thing about the crops, you got what? Irrigation. So someone's got a whole bunch of water spigots set up in their field. That's not Yah. Yah says, I give you the latter rain and the early rain. So even these crops that we got, we can't use. That's why the flower in my yard, it wasn't irrigated. That was naturally coming up. So even with the crops, I'm saying use that as a secondary, but your primary marker is going to be the moon, and we're going to show you now.
Yeah, it's like using context clues.
Right. Numbers 10 and 10. Numbers 10 and 10. Oh, did we read? So Exodus 12 and 2, the Most High says this moon is your beginning of this month. It's your beginning months. You can use the Strong's Blue Letter Bible or any lexicon. That word for month is Strong's H2320. Strong's H2320. And contrary to what some people are coming up with, conjecturing, month is moon. Month is moon. And again, for you to tell me that the word month does not relate to moon, produce your witnesses. Produce your witnesses. All the witnesses I find of ancient unbiased people says the word for month is always translated back to the Hebrew as moon. So for those out there telling you, yeah, but moon is not, the Hebrew word for moon ain't month, we're going to get to it. Numbers 10 and 10. Numbers 10 and 10.
Also in the day of your gladness, and in your solemn days, and in the beginnings of your months, ye shall blow with the trumpets over your burnt offerings, and over your sacrifices of your peace offerings, that they may be to you for a memorial before your Elohim. I am Yahweh, your Elohim.
He didn't say in the beginning of your sons, at the first son. He says in the beginning of your moons. The beginning of your moons, I want you to blow up the trumpet, and I want you to have a sacrifice. I want you to have a feast. I want you to have a feast. We're going to get back into that when we go over to Shabbat. New moon is a feast day, but we're going to get back into that at the end when we go over to Shabbat. So he didn't say at the beginning of a sun, blow up the trumpet, at the beginning of the moon. So it's looking like already the moon is the master demarcator. The moon is the master timepiece. But let's be Bereans. Let's keep digging. Let's go to Numbers 28. Numbers 28 and 11. Read.
And in the beginnings of your months, ye shall offer a burnt offering unto Yahweh, 2 young bullocks and 1 ram, 7 lambs of the first year without spot.
Again, confirmation. God hasn't changed yet and mentioned the sun. He hasn't said nothing yet about at the beginning of a sun. He says at the beginning of the moon. So it's looking like the moon is the master timepiece. Any questions, comments, or concerns yet? Let's go to 1 Samuel 20. And please, yeah, keep monitoring that for me. I can't keep pulling them up. Says keep posting your questions. Shamaya is on deck. 1 Samuel 20 and 5. 1 Samuel 20 and 5. And family, if I'm going too fast, just let me know. We're not in a rush. We got all day and night. 1 Samuel 20 and 5.
Yeah, I don't know if she meant to ask the same question again. You can say real quick, just because she can hear.
Miss Barb, let us know. Did you mean to ask that again? Because you said, how do you know when the first day of the year is? And then you said, how do I know when the first moon of the new year is? I don't know if you meant to ask that again. And you can unmute.
Yeah, she may not have a good connection. Sometimes she don't have a good connection. So sis, we just looking for clarity. Did you hit enter again by mistake, or is you trying to phrase a different question? If she clarifies, just let us know. She just sent something.
She says she don't have a speaker on her computer. I'm just asking, were you good with that question? Because I saw you posted it. How do I know when the first moon of the new year is? We don't want to just breeze past you.
No, we don't have to rush this. So if it's still not clear, and that's why we started a new calendar format. As you track the calendar, the phases of the moon, we see the moon comes in as a thin crescent. She grows and grows and grows. Tomorrow night, she's going to be a full moon on the 14th. Then after the 14th, she's going to start fading away. And she's going to fade away back down to a thin opposite crescent. And then some days, some months she disappears. Some months she don't disappear. You'll just see a new crescent on the 29th or the 30th. So that's how you know by returning to your heritage, by returning to Yah's way, you'll be able to know what a new crescent from a new moon from a old moon. So once we count, we go through 12 moons. We know there's no 13 moons. We know that next new crescent is a new year for us. It's a new year for us. And that's why we started a new calendar format. So let's go to and it may make sense as we keep going. It may get some clarity. We got a lot of information to go over. Now, did we read 1 Samuel 20? 1 Samuel 20 and 5.
You might just let her know. She says, regarding the feast, Passover is the 14th day of the month, 14th day of the first month. I know we're gonna get into it, but she just asked. But the answer is yes, right? Right. It's the 14th day of the first month, and you'll get more into that as it goes.
Passover, the 14th day. You come up. Jenny gonna be here late. Y'all come up. I watched last night. Go way back there. So yeah, Khan says the Passover is the 14th day of the first month is Pesach. It's Pesach. 14th day of the first month is Pesach. The new moon, the new crescent is day 1. We do our 6 working days. The 8th day is Shabbat. The 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th. The 14th is Pesach. Calm. 1 Samuel 20 and 5. We ready? 1 Samuel 20 and 5. Read.
And Dawid said unto Jonathan, behold, tomorrow is the new moon, and I should not fail to sit with the king at meat, but let me go, that I may hide myself in the field until the 3rd day at even.
Again, we see our young king Dawid. He's looking for the new moon, and he's not looking for a son. And one point was raised that they wasn't going by phases of the moon, because here in 1 Samuel 20 and 5, David knew the new moon was coming, meaning they was calculating, they wasn't observing. And this is when these translations throw you off. When you check this verse in the lexicon, it doesn't say, and tomorrow is new moon day. It's actually missing, and it lets us know they were expecting the new moon. Just like us, tomorrow is the 14th. Well, we know tomorrow is the 14th, and 14 more days is the 28th. We know by the 28th, we start looking for the new moon. So David wasn't calculating. They didn't have a calculated calendar here. David knew today was either the 28th, the 29th. So we got a new moon's coming. We're expecting a new moon. So someone raised a point here that they wasn't going by moon phases, that he already knew the next day was a new moon because it was calculated. No, check that verse in the lexicon. All that tomorrow is not there. That's a man-made Latin, Greek custom is. It says tomorrow, new moon, blank, new moon day. So he was expecting the new moon. They know, right now we know in 29 days, we look for a new moon. That's all that's saying. David, our elders didn't have a calculated calendar. And again, the takeaway here, he's looking for the new moon, not a new sun. It's looking like the moon is the master timepiece. Let's go to 2 Kings 4 and 23.
Oh, you got a question?
Go ahead.
They said to clarify, the crescent/new moon starts a new day.
We're going to get to that later on in the presentation. We got a segment already about which one is it. So just be patient. We got a segment for that.
Sounds good.
Just hang on, give us some time. We're going to get there. Great question. 2 Kings 4 and 23. 2 Kings 4 and 23.
And he said, wherefore wilt thou go to him today? It is neither new moon nor Shabbat. And she said, it shall be well.
Again, why are you going to bother the prophet? Today's not new moon day. So again, the moon is being singled out as the demarker, the dividing line, not the sun. Let's go to Psalms 81 and 3, our famous one. Let's go to Psalms 81 and 3. We're purposely taking our time to produce our witnesses to help the family. Psalms 81 and 3. Shema. Read.
Blow up the trumpet in the new moon, in the time appointed, on our solemn feast day.
So these are 3 different times we blow up the shofar: the new moon, solemn feast days, and any time appointed, meaning if we're going to war, that's an appointed time. Sound the shofar. That's what that appointed time means. So our feast days, our new moons, and if something's going on, you know you got the commandment. If you see the enemy coming, sound the shofar. So again, the takeaway here is the new moon, we blow the shofar, not the sun at all. The sun is never mentioned so far. Let's go to Psalms 104. Psalms 104. Psalms 104:19. We're running down which one of those great luminaries is the master timepiece. Which great luminary is the master timepiece? Psalms 104, verse 19. Read.
He appointed the moon for seasons.
He appointed what?
He appointed the moon for seasons.
The moon for seasons. Read.
The sun knoweth his going down.
That's clear, black and white. If the sun was appointed to track our time, he would have said it. The moon is appointed for seasons. The word for seasons in the Hebrew is ma'ad. Ma'ad relates to a continuation of a pattern. The ma, the I, and the da. The ma is the ocean for rhythm, and then the I is continuation, and the da is a pathway. So ma'ad is the rhythm of a flow. So every year we got the same rhythm.
So is my odd yam, the appointed days.
Yeah, Ma'adim. You can put the YAM on it, or you just put the A. Sometimes you just put the AM or put an M. Depending on the word, you just put an M at it. But how that word ends, you put the Ya and the Ma to say Yam. So Ma'adim.
Okay.
Ma'adim. So Ma'adim is appointed times. Again, it's the moon. It's in black and white, family. You don't have to exegete this. You don't have to go to seminary. You don't have to have a prayer shut in. Psalms 104:19. The moon is for appointed times. Let's go get Isaiah 66. Isaiah 66. If we need to break, y'all, we can break, because this is a lot. This is a lot. Isaiah 66, verse 23. 22 through 23. Isaiah 66, 22 through 23. Shimon, read.
For as the new heavens and the new earth, which I will make, shall remain before me, saith Yahweh, so shall your seed and your name remain. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Shabbat to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith Yahweh.
So the Most High is telling Isaiah, when I create a new heaven and new earth, because this is always going to be for us, this is what he blessed us with. When I do a new thing for y'all, it's still going to be from one new moon to another. All flesh is going to come before me. And notice highlight here, new moon came first, and then what was next? Then the Sabbath. You can't establish the Sabbath if you don't establish the new moon. So even when he blesses us and get rid of these heathens, when he get rid of these heathens, we're going to have a new earth. We're going to worry about them, dumping toxic waste on our new land. He says, when I give y'all a new heaven and new earth, for one new moon to another, and one Shabbat to another, all flesh of who? The Israelites are going to come worship before me.
So that raises a question that I have. Just I can't remember the precept right off the top of my head, but it says when the old heaven and earth are going to melt away with the fervent heat, and we're no longer going to need the sun and moon anymore.
You got something? It's 2 Peter somewhere.
Peter chapter 3, verse 9 and 10.
Yeah. So remember, always write down the who, what, where, and why, and what's going on. The op, if you didn't ask hear the question, op was referring to that scripture that says the heavens and earth shall melt away with fervent heat. So we're fighting to get back to two kingdoms. The first kingdom is Yahweh Shai's kingdom, and that's when he's going to rule. But the last kingdom belongs to who? Most High. And when the Most High comes in, Hamashiach already touched down on this filthy land, and that was disgraceful for him to do. And the second time he comes, he's going to touch down on this filthy land. He's going to clean it up. He's going to do a lot of cleaning. He's going to clean it up a lot. But when Yah comes down, it got to be something new. It got to be new. Yah can't come down to this place. Yah can't come down. So that's just a great question. But that's when Yah's going to, I'm going to do a whole new thing for you. I can't come down here. So that's a great question. Let's go get our next one. That was, let's go back to Sirach 43. We're still running down the master timepiece according to the elders. Let's go back to Sirach, what did I say, 43?
And Gerald said also to Revelation 21 and 23 mentions that.
Good precept. The Christianity missed that. They got us going straight to heaven, and the Most High is coming to us. But the Most High, and that's another thing. I love these builds. To prove that Yahweh Shai is not great as Yah, Yahweh Shai touched down in this dirty place. Yah says, I can't touch down here. I can't come down. I kill everybody. Yah says, I kill everybody. So we're going to Sirach 43 and 2. Sirach 43 and 2. This is all running down which one of those great luminaries is the master luminary. Which one is really controlling things? Did I say Sirach what?
43 and 2.
43 and 2, thank you. Sirach 43 and 2, read.
The sun, when it appears, declaring at his rising a marvelous instrument, the work of the Most High.
Verse 3.
At noon it parches the country, and who can abide the burning heat thereof?
Read on.
A man blowing a furnace is in works of heat, but the sun burns the mountains 3 times more, breathing out fiery vapors and sending forth bright beams.
And what it do?
It dims the eyes.
It do what?
It dims the eyes.
It do what?
It dims the eyes.
The sun is so powerful, it dims the eyes.
You have to squint.
So how can you count anything by the sun? The sun is the destroyer. It's called kamash. Kamash in the Hebrew means to dry out. So if the sun's dry you out, y'all don't give you rain, you die. So how can you count anything when it's an equinox today? Really? You knew it was equal sun and night today. You can't even look at the sun with your blue blockers on. Y'all probably don't remember blue blocker. Y'all remember blue blocker?
Yeah.
Blue blocker. That dude's the rap blue. We used to try to learn that rap going on. Like, he was spitting blue blockers. But you can't look at the sun, family. So how can you count anything by the sun? And he said the sun dimmeth the eyes. Let's go down to verse 7 since we already here. Verse 7.
From the moon is the sun.
I'm sorry, verse 6.
Okay. He made the moon also to serve in her season for a declaration of times and a sign of the world. From the moon is the sign of feast.
From what?
From the moon is the sign of feast.
From the moon is the sign of the feast. Read on.
A light that decreases in her perfection.
Verse 8.
The month is called after her name, increasing wonderfully in her changing, being an instrument of the armies above, shining in the expanse of heaven.
So like I said, open it up, family. A lot of these precepts are going to overlap because that's how our culture is. So whoever asked that question about which one is the new moon is right here. It's right here. The month is called after her, increasing wonderfully in her changing. So if she's full, if the full moon is a new moon, how can she increase after she's full? So the crescent has to be the new moon increasing wonderfully.
Well, I just wanted to clarify verse 7. From the moon is the sign of feast, a light that decreases in her perfection.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that clarifies how you can dictate what the new moon is if you precept it with what we went over in Enoch, how after 14 days, her glory is perfect and it's full moon.
We're getting there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on deck.
And that's what I was gonna say.
It's on deck. It's on deck. So what we're gonna bring out for those of you who are not familiar with Enoch and this precept, we have concrete black and white witnesses that the new moon is a thin sliver and she increased into her full glory. That's what I was just bringing out.
That's
Tomorrow is I'm sorry, go ahead.
But from the full glory, it decreases.
It decreases.
That's what it's saying.
That's what it's saying here. After her, go ahead. I gotta stop.
And Gerald is asking, he's saying, which text is this again? This is in the Apocrypha, right?
Come.
Yeah, this is Ecclesiasticus or Sirach,
Come.
chapter 43. And then verse 2 through.
We started at 2.
Yeah, 2.
But you can read the whole chapter. The whole chapter gives. Let's finish it out while we're here, and then let's finish it out while we're here.
Verse 8. The month is called after her name, increasing wonderfully in her changing, being an instrument of the armies above, shining in the expanse of heaven. The beauty of heaven, the glory of the stars, an ornament giving light in the highest places of Yahweh. At the commandment of the Holy One, they will stand in their order and never faint in their watches.
And
that was verse 10.
Verse 12. Verse 12 is really black and white.
Okay. I'm up. Verse 11. Look upon the rainbow and praise him that made it. Very beautiful it is in the brightness thereof. It compasses the heaven about with a glorious circle, and the hands of the Most High Elohim have bended it.
This may not be the chapter. One chapter tells you that the moon is the glory of heaven. I think it maybe Sirach 48 or something, but we're going to get back to it. But this is one witness, and we're going to give you more later on, that the moon comes out as a thin sliver. She increases to her glory. Like tomorrow night, if we got clear skies, you'll see a perfectly round in the east. Look towards the east. She's always magnificent, full of glory in the east, which represents Messiah. So in the east, wherever you at, get you a app and look for the east. And if you got clear sky, you'll see the full moon tonight. Tomorrow night is the 14th of the month. And after the 14th, she's going to decrease a little by little in her glory.
Miss Barb, she was saying, to be clear, this script is, I guess she's agreeing with it, but she said, you may say the first moon of the new year was last month. Another Moray say the first moon of the year is next month or this month. How can this be?
Constance, and that's the whole purpose of this class, sis. We're going to show you how we know there's only 12 moons in our year, and that's going to be the summation of this whole class we're going over, sis. That's a great question, and that's the point of this class. People who are just having first Pesach tomorrow, they're following unawares. Many people don't know they're following a 13-month system, and that's the whole purpose of this class, to show people there's no 13 months by the Most High's count. So that's why if some people have a first 13 months get you tomorrow, and that's why tomorrow for us is second Pesach, because we have a clear black and white commandment. We can't have a second Passover. So everyone who has their first Passover tomorrow, they may not be fully aware. They're following a 13-month system.
And two, I want to add to, from what I've seen, a lot of the camps and different calendars that as a whole, Israel as a whole keeps, they count the sun. So because they say they were going off of the equinox from the spring, and they're going 30 days for the sun from year to year, their Passover is always like this time in March around the same time. And then you'll have another that you'll see some people's, theirs will be their first month is next month. So the reason why one person will say that last month, this month, next month is because of Hasatan, the confusion that we have been in. It's no different than any other doctrines that we differ on. But what the purpose of the class and the teachings and the studies is for is that bringing out the most witnesses possible to show what way is the correct way. Right. And then other than that, you got to decide in your heart which way resonates with you. And then beyond that, it's going to be up to the Most High to restore us when we back in the wilderness.
So I've summed it up perfectly, Sister B. We're presenting witnesses. We're going to address most of the popular methods of how they're getting their new year, and we're going to produce witnesses. So whatever system you decide to follow, you have to be content that they showed you enough witnesses that lines up with the Most High. And if you're convinced that the Most High be with you, he can't hold nothing against you, because we are the descendants of slaves. But hopefully by the time we're done, you can have enough witnesses or better witnesses to make your decision. That's what we're trying to help you make your decision.
SELAH, I just wanted to read this because I was actually going over Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John throughout the week, and I just so happened stumbled upon this, and I just wanted to bring it out because it was pretty interesting to me. It's Mark chapter 14, verses 53 and 54.
Mark, hold on, let me get it. Mark 14?
14, yeah. Verses 53 and 54.
And sis, while we're going here, that's why that plumb line, I don't know if I'm trying to get y'all guys a copy. That's what that plumb line is for, sis. Run whatever system you decide to follow, run it through the plumb line. Did the Most High say this? Did Yeshua, Yahweh Shai say this? And can you find righteous elders who the Most High was pleased with? Can you find them practicing that? And if you can check those 3 boxes, then you should have freedom. But for me, my filter, if I can't check those 3 boxes, Yah didn't write it in the commandments, Yahweh Shai didn't say it, and I can't find no righteous elders practicing it, I can't deal with it. And that's what we're going to show you if you stay tuned for the whole series, continuing tomorrow. No righteous elder ever practiced 13 months. No righteous elders know anything about 13 months. And we're going to bring out information about the equinox too. You say Mark 4?
14.
Mark 14 and 3?
53 and 53.
I'm just hearing what I want to hear. Mark 14 and 53. Mark 14 and 53. Read.
And they led Yahushua away to the high priest, and with him were assembled all the chief priests and the elders and the scribes. And here's what I thought was interesting. And Peter followed him afar off, even into the palace of the high priest, and he sat down with the servants and warmed himself at the fire. So we know it was nighttime when Yahushua was led away.
Come.
So if it was according to, even here in Babylon, if Pesach is next month, April, pagan April, we know it's not going to be that chilly at night, especially considering being back in the land now. So when you said even back in February here, it was still 70 over there. So even if it was 70 over there, when the sun goes down, it's still, 40s, maybe low 50s, but it's pretty chilly, and you would need to warm yourself up, especially if you're walking outside.
Queen, I'm gonna be able to sit down in a couple months. I'm gonna be able to sit down. These brothers,
These
brothers are going leaps and bounds. These brothers are going leaps and bounds. And also, I don't know, we brought that out, pinning down Pesach and pinning down, we got 2 classes on the channel from a couple years ago, pinning down Pesach and pinning down Shabbat. We brought that out.
Okay.
Did it stop? Yeah. All right, we just roll with it. Anybody grew up in the projects? Any family grew up in the projects?
I grew up next door.
So you ever spent time, anybody, your friends in the projects?
Yeah.
You ever been out to the projects in the summertime? They had air conditioner in there.
Barely.
My grandmother lived in the projects my whole life before she passed away. And the projects is so dangerous that they don't put, the one she grew up at didn't have central air. And you can't put air conditioning in your windows because you get robbed. So in the projects, even in the summertime, all you have is a fan. And just like this building right here, we're in brick. Brick holds whatever is inside of it. So if it was cold at night, it's cold during the day. And what I was saying, y'all, next April, the temperature, even over here, the temperatures are going up. So the fact that during Hamashiach's crucifixion, it was cold. If it had been hot during the day, those clay buildings would have held the heat. They wouldn't have needed no fire if it was warm. So the beginning of our summer has cool temperatures. It's not still winter, but it's just not all the way. The summer, y'all brings summer gradually. So the fact that they had to warm a fire up lets you know that during the daytime, it wasn't really the brunt of summer yet. Because if it was, those clay temples and those clay buildings would have held the heat. These are context clues. Context clues. That's a great point. Great point. You got something? Yeah. When I seen it, I was like, wow. Because one elder, and we don't call names, y'all, because we're recording, we're live. We don't call names, but one elder, his whole point is, it's too cold to have Passover now. It's too cold in Zion. And I was like, well, this script, it was cold in the first Passover. Well, not the first Passover, it was cold at Hamashiach's Passover. So that's not a clear sign of what season you in. The number one demarcator is the moon. How many moons have you had? Now, we don't care in Babylon, if our 12th moon comes in October, that's what it is. We're following Yah's way. We're going to show you how it's the pagan system that's drifting out. It's not our system. So our 12th moon this year was in February, and our first one came in February. We don't care about January, February, March. It's their system that's drifting, and it's their system they're trying to hide. They're trying to add things to keep their system, to hide the fact that their system is off. That's the whole part of this class. The pagan system is drifting, and that's why they're adding things and making up things, trying to keep their system in order. So let's go to Jubilees, which that's all you have for that.
Yeah, that was
Great precept, great eye. Way to be a Berean. So we're still running down which one of the great luminaries is the master timepiece. And so far, it's looking like the moon is the master timepiece. But let's be thorough. Let's be patient. Let's go to Jubilees 4 and 19. Jubilees 4 and 19. I think I called the wrong one out. I'm sorry, it's Jubilees 4 and 18. Jubilees 4 and 18. Queen, don't worry about it. It's all right. I just get it when I get on Zoom. Jubilees 4 and 18. Can you see it? I need to make it bigger.
no, I got it.
We're going to read Jubilees 4 and 18. Trying to find out which one of the luminaries is the master timepiece. Read.
And he was the first to write a testimony, and he testifies to the sons of men among the generations of the earth, and recounted the weeks of the Jubilees, and made known to them the days of the years, and set it in order the months, and recounted the Shabbats of the years as we made them known to him.
He set in order the what?
Shabbats.
Before the Shabbats? He set in order the months.
Once, yeah.
This is going all the way back to Enoch. He set in order the months. He never set in order the suns. The sun is too bright to count anything by. The sun will blind you. The sun will blind you. So it's looking like the moon is the master timepiece, but let's keep going. We don't want to build a straw man. We don't want to give you half information. Let's keep going.
Wouldn't that precept tie into what we what you brought out earlier? I can't remember which one it was. It says and set in order the months or moons and recounted the Shabbats.
That was Sirach 43. The moon and Psalms 104. Psalms 104 and 19 corroborates what we just read in Jubilees, and Sirach 43, how the moon is appointed for times. So all the witnesses by our righteous elders are saying it's the moon that's the master timepiece, not the sun. So to get anything from the sun is not in line with the righteous. So for the sake of time, no. I'm going to be patient. I'm not going to rush this. We're going to go through this. We're going back to Enoch 74 and 12. We're going back to Enoch 74 and 12. We're going back to Enoch 74 and 12. So the moon is the master timepiece, but she's not by herself. She doesn't run off by herself and have a whole year by herself. There's no such thing as a lunar year. And let's get it again. The point is driven home. Enoch 74. And when I say 74 and 12, and I'm not going to read this first column because his is tainted, and I'll show you a little later. We'll stay with the 2 on the end.
Can't even open your eyes.
Enoch 74 and 12. Where I'm at?
72, 73.
Okay, here we go. Enoch 74 and 12. Read.
It's still moving on my screen.
Oh.
So you want me to read the middle column or the last column?
We're gonna read both of them. Let's start with the last one. I'll find out where his. I think his is 73.
Okay, I guess it's still right beside.
Yeah, they're side by side. Start with the one in the middle, and then we go to the one on the end.
So you want to start which part? Scroll back up a little bit.
The year.
Oh, so 73 and 16. the year then becomes truly complete according to the station of the moon and the station of the sun, which rise in the different gates, which rise and set in them for 30 days.
So again, even though the moon is the master timepiece, the moon is controlling the feast and the Shabbats, it's still working in tandem with the sun. It's not our culture. We have not been commanded by the Most High to separate the two great lights. It's nowhere in our scrolls to separate the two great lights. They are a tandem. 74 and 12 from the other translation.
And the year, it was right there beside it.
I'm sorry.
It's going to be 74 and 17.
Well, on this one, we just read the wrong verse. So this middle column is 73 and 13. Let's read Enoch 73 and 13 in the middle.
The moon.
Yeah, the moon.
Yes, that's what I thought you was going to do at first.
That's what I was looking for.
It says the moon brings on all the years exactly, that their stations may come neither two forwards nor two backwards a single day.
Read that again out.
The moon brings on all the years exactly, that their stations may come neither two forwards nor two backwards a single day.
Let's get a second witness. Let's get the last column.
And the moon brings in all the years exact, so that their place neither precedes nor recedes one day, but she changes the years with exact justice in 364 days.
We have two witnesses saying the moon changes the years in perfect justice. Now, let's go back to this first column and let's see what he says. Let's see what he says. Where's his verses at?
Probably up right here.
Right. Moon falls behind.
It's right here.
You see it out?
Yeah.
Let me get this so I can highlight it for the family. Where's it at?
The and.
In the year?
No, go up.
Second sentence.
So look at 74 and 12.
And the sun.
And the sun.
That's
and,
what we're looking for.
Yeah.
This is what we're about to highlight here, family, to show you the difference. Thank you so much, Al. 3-4 eyes is better than 2. So read on.
And the sun and the stars bring in all the years exactly, so that they do not advance or delay their position by a single day unto eternity.
He's the oddball. Two witnesses say the moon brings in, and I want to point out when you do the research, this translation that's saying the sun and stars bring in years, it's the newest translation. These two here, the ones we read first, this one in the middle is from 1888, and the one on the end is from 1880 something. This man here translated his copy in 1913. So why would he be the oddball and say, and the sun brings in and the sun and the stars bring in the years exactly? Why would he be the oddball and say it's the sun? Why would he be the oddball saying it's the sun? Let's expose sun worship. Let's expose sun worship. That's why I advocate when you buy these pseudepigraphers, check the publisher, check the translator. You have to check the editors. Everybody is against us. The world is confederate against us. Nobody's on our side, family. Nobody. So we just read those three differences and we've seen the eyeball. This is the one who says the sun brings in all the years. What do you notice about him? He's definitely not an Israelite.
Got that collar on.
And he has the collar on. He has the outfit of Baal on. This man, Archangel Charles, is a Catholic priest. He translated a copy of Enoch for the Catholic Church, meaning he had to get all his work approved by the Pope and by the Emperor. Rome is a sun-worshiping state, and so were the Greek nations. So he had to make his translation say the sun brings in all the years. That's why you can't run off half-cocked and think you got something and you have to do the deeper study and now you were sunburned. You just got sunburned. You just got sunburned, family. You have to be a Berean and dig deeper, family. The oddball says it's the sun because he's a sun worshiper from the Catholic Church. This is a source. This is a source you can find online. It's an article, and the name of the article was Time in Bible Times. Time in Bible Times. Time in Bible Times, and this article records the Hebrew word for month, Kadash, which literally meant what? New moon. And was used because the month extended from what? One new moon to the next. The source of this is provided by NASA Astrophysics Data System. Even NASA knows that the new moon was from one new moon to the next. So for all those teachers telling you, leading our people astray, saying Kodesh or Kodash doesn't mean new moon, do some more research, family. Kadash always means new moon. The reason why we don't use the other word for moon, the other word for moon in the Hebrew is Yarak. Yarak for us was translated as Jericho. And the reason why none of us righteous people would use that word Yarak for moon is because Jericho, the Canaanites worship Yarak. So for us, Yarak, when we hear Yarak, we're thinking of the moon god of the Canaanites. Y'all told us, I don't want to hear the idol's name in your mouth. So we only say the idol's name for research. So that's why it makes sense for those who say, oh, the word for new moon in Hebrew is Yarak, and it's never used in the scriptures. Our elders know how the Most High felt about that. Joshua destroyed Jericho, and we took the land of Canaan. So that's why our elders won't use Yarak, because it refers to a Canaanite deity. So all of our elders would use Kadash, because when you check the letters for Kadash and the letters for Yarak, it's still describing the same function. It's still describing the same function. The moon is separating our rhythms. That's what Kadash and that's what the letters for Yarak mean. The moon separates our rhythms. So our elders would not use Yarak because it's Jericho, it's the moon goddess. That's why we don't use. So for all those teachers out there puffed up and you want to condescend and your Kadash don't mean moon, you're in error. You're in error. We're not upset with no Israelite. We're not upset with no teachers. We're upset with the devil. We're upset with the devil. Now we're moving on to a PDF. It's a book online. You could download this PDF. This PDF is called A History of Palestine. And during this phase, the Muslims were ruling us. Ishmael, 12 sons. Anybody heard of Ishmael, 12 princes? God told Abraham, Ishmael's going to have 12 princes, but he's not going to be your heir. So this time when this book was written, it's recording from like the 800s to the 1100s, and the Muslims, our brothers, are ruling Palestine. This is what's recorded in this history of Palestine. There was a young sect eager to win over people, and it is well known that in calendrical matters, they would not accept rabbinic computation. They would not accept rabbinic computation, but continue to determine the beginning of the month according to the actual appearance of the new moon. But they did practice and to decide on leap year according to Abib, the ripening of the grain. So these people here, they became known as Karaites, and Karaites come from the Hebrew word karat. Karat. Anybody got on real gold? That's real hot? Probably not. The Hebrew word karat or carrot comes from our word karat. Karat or carrot means to be cut. So these Karaites says, I'm not following the rabbis. I'm not following y'all oral traditions. I'm sticking to what's being cut in the stones. So they were known as Karaites. But they wasn't pure Karaites because they still practiced leap year. Show me leap year in the stones. So they felt they were better than the rabbinical people. If you follow the oral traditions, you were a rabbinite. You're following the oral laws of the rabbis. I'm a Karaite. I'm following what Moses got. But they still tainted what Moses got because now you're adding a leap year. The point we want to drive home is the Karaites did not accept the rabbinites' computation. They did not accept that. So we've had calendar issues all the way back in the 900s, family. So the point I'm making, don't be upset, don't be offended if all this confusion is out here. Do the scholarship, and like I was saying, compare all the research, and you get before Yah, you pray, fast, and meditate, and you see what Yah lays on your heart. But for you to blindly follow somebody just because everyone's doing it, it sounds logical. That's what we were doing in church. You might as well go back to church because the preacher sounds logical. Ain't no need to follow the law, Christ. No, that's the law, the cross. So things sounding logical is not how we are to practice the Torah. We put precept upon precept, line upon line. If you can prove the scholarship of what you're practicing, Yah be with us all. Yah be with us all. More from the history of Palestine. More from the history of Palestine. Barini, writing about 1000, informs us that the Karites are also called Maladaya, people of what? The new moon. Or Ashemayah, people of the tradition, the Torah. For they are meticulous about starting the month with what? The appearance of the new moon. He meant on sighting the new moon, and because they only obey the text of the Bible, but I caught them in a lie because you practice leap year. If you only practice the Bible, there's nowhere in the Bible is leap year. So they're a little bit better in their eyes, they're a little bit better than the Rabbinites. But a little leaving, if your daughter comes home and says, "Oh, Dad, I'm a little bit pregnant," ain't no little bit pregnant. How this happened? I don't know. You know how it happened. I don't know how this happened. You know how it happened. So these Karites thought they were better than the Talmudists because the Talmudists was coming up with a whole bunch of cockamamie stuff. They were exegeting Moses' writings and coming up with new oral laws. And the Karites says, "I'm not following the rabbis. I'm following the Torah. But let me help the Torah a little bit." So for me, I'm a strict Karaite. I practice what Moses got from Yah. If you can't show it to me in the Tanakh, don't bring it to me. Don't bring it to me. Don't follow me. Don't bring what your captain told you, what your rabbi told you, what your pastor told you. I don't care how many letters he got. Show it to me in the book. Show it to me in the book. So this is another PDF you can download. This is all still proving that the moon is the master timepiece. This is from a PDF called Myths of Babylonia and Assyria. Myths of Babylonia and Assyria, and you see Yah's name at the end of these countries. Babylonia is Yah confused the language. Babel Yah, Yah confused the language. And Assyria, they are our cousins. I think Yah has made me happy. Asher in the Hebrew. So Asher Yah is Yah has made me happy. So this is another PDF, and you can download this, Myths of Babylon and Assyria. Nanar. Anybody want to read what Nanar was for me, please?
Nanar was the moon god of Ur, the city which came Abram. And with that place, he was connected much as was Shamash with Shapar.
Shamash is the sun.
With Sapar, that is to say, was his chief, but not his only center of adoration.
So the of the Chaldees, the Babylonians, where Abraham grew up, they worshiped the moon god, and they also worshiped the sun, but they didn't worship the sun as much as they did Nanar. Read on.
While he came to have his principal seat at it would be difficult to say, but the name signifies light.
What's the name of the angel talking to Enoch?
Uriel.
What's his name in the Hebrew? Awarya. So means light, Awarya, Uriel. So that's on point with our language. Means light. Read on.
So it may be that a shrine dedicated to Nanar existed upon the site of this city and constituted its nucleus. In Babylonian mythology, the sun was regarded as the offspring of the moon.
The sun was regarded as what?
The offspring of the moon.
Read on.
And it is easy to see how this conception arose in the minds of a race prone to astronomical study. In all civilizations, the lunar method of computing time precedes the solar.
Say it again.
In all civilizations, the lunar method of computing time precedes the solar.
So Babylon is not our rule. That's not what we're bringing out here. What we're bringing out, family, in all civilizations of the ancient time, all of them knew the moon was the master timepiece. Sun worship came centuries, eons later. I can't pin down when Babylon started putting the sun before the moon, but this resource is bringing out, even in wicked Babylon, they knew the moon was the master timepiece. So the Syrians, the Persians, the Israelites, we all knew the moon was the master timepiece. That's why when we go to the Tanakh, it's not always telling you the new moon is the crescent, because it was common knowledge. If I gotta tell you, did y'all had to tell them to make sure they eat every day? No, because he knew they was going to eat every day. So when we're saying on the new moon of the 10th month and on the new moon of the 7th month, they didn't have to tell you the new crescent, because everyone of the ancient times knew. It's common knowledge. So that's why you don't get the specific phases, but there is a precept to give you the specific phase, and we're going to get to it. The point we're driving home with this resource, family, is all in, where is that? In all civilizations, the lunar method of computing, and it's not meaning calculating, it's meaning wait for that crescent and then set your feast. That's what it means here. In all civilizations, the lunar method of computing time precedes the solar. Read on.
The phases of the moon are regarded as more trustworthy and
what?
More trustworthy.
What?
More trustworthy.
That corroborates Sirach 43. How can you look at the sun? The sun burns your eyes. The moon is more trustworthy. Read on.
And more easily followed than the more obscure changes of the brighter luminary. Therefore, a greater degree of importance was attached.
Just give me book, family. Just give me book. Read on. Same resource.
Attached to the moon in very early times than to the sun. The moon is usually represented on Babylonian cylinders as bearing a crescent upon his head and wearing a long flowing beard described as the color of lapis lazuli, much the same shade as his beams possess in warmer latitudes. Nanar was frequently alluded to as the heifer of Anu because of the horn which the moon displays at a certain phase.
Say what?
At a certain phase.
The moon displays horns at certain phases. What does that sound like? The crescent. Read on.
Many monarchs appear to have delighted in the upkeep and restoration of his temple, among them Ner-Raman and Sin-Edina.
We didn't need all that. The point we want to bring home, family, all the people of ancient times knew the moon was more reliable than the sun because the sun burns your eyes. You can't use the sun for nothing. This moon is the master timepiece. So conclusion, based on the parameters of the Most High's plumb line, there are more witnesses to support the moon being used as the master timepiece in contrast to the sun. Any questions or comments about that segment? You guys good? Y'all need a snack or something? All praises. Any questions on the line about that segment?
Yeah, do y'all hear me?
Con, we can hear you.
So basically in Genesis, when it says on the fourth day, he created the luminaries, the sun, the moon, and the stars. And he said the greater luminary by day, but the lesser luminary by night. That's not necessarily talking about which one is the master timepiece. It's just saying that the sun is brighter than the moon.
And you can get the precept to that. I think we're going to go back to it. That's why I told you all these questions and these precepts are going to overlap. But you get the precept in that in Enoch 74 or 75. Enoch says, or Uriel tells Enoch, the moon and the sun have the same circumference, but the sun shines like 7 times brighter than the moon. So what you just said is right on point with what Uriel told Enoch. They're the same size when they come out. That's why we can have what do you call that thing? Eclipse. That's why we can have an eclipse, because there's circumference. You didn't get my last text. So you're dead on, Op. You're dead on. All praises.
Oh, I forgot it. I'm sorry.
All praises. All praises.